Hi friends, happy Monday. Hope you all had an awesome weekend. Today is our first day of all of our materials being online. So your materials might look a little different from what it was last week if you picked up the packet. So make sure before we start this video, you have at least one or two pieces of paper in front of you, whether it's the papers from the Google Drive that say Monday 3:30 read aloud, welcome to Ireland, or whether it's just a blank piece of paper. It can be blank, it can be lined. You just need something to write on and something to write with. I am going to show you the article. It would be helpful if you were able to pull it up, but if you are not, you can pull it up later while you are answering the exit ticket. So, let's get started with Welcome to Ireland. Have you heard of Ireland? Here you can see castles, rolling green hills, and sheep, but that's not all you can see. When you turn the page, two Irish kids will show you all around the quiet countryside and the busy cities of this faraway land. So, the cover doesn't tell you this, but Ireland is a real place. It's a real country. It's in a continent called Europe, and it's very, very far away. But Ireland is a real place. With that knowledge and looking through the article, let's think about what genre do you think this article is? You're going to answer the first question. What is the genre of the article? Take about 15 seconds. Go. Alright, so what is the genre? Well, I'm looking at the front page because that's all we've read so far. And I see that there are photographs. I know that Ireland is a real place. I see a castle in the background. I see a title. I see headings on the inside. I see bolded words. I know from the cover that this article is going to teach us about different parts of Ireland. So I know that the genre is non-fiction. The genre of this article is non-fiction. All right, let's keep reading. Country life, city life. As you read, think about how country life is different from city life. How is it alike? So this says, I'm Grace. I live in the countryside of Ireland. Let me tell you all about it. Now, before we read all about it, let's look at the other page too. This says, I'm Ryan. I live in a city in Ireland. Let me tell you all about it. So, given that information that we've read so far, you can answer the next question. What is the main topic of the article? Take about 20 seconds now. Go. So far we've read the cover and we've read the big heading up here and we've read the introductions from Grace on this side and Ryan on this side. Everything that we've read so far has to do with Ireland. It's asking us, have you ever heard of Ireland? The title is welcoming us to Ireland. The article is telling us what we're going to see in Ireland. And then what we read on the inside, Grace lives in the countryside of Ireland, and Ryan lives in a city in Ireland. So I know that the main topic is Ireland because we're going to be learning about Ireland. So the main topic of this article is Ireland. We can also answer the next question just looking through the article. What text features do you see in the article? I'm going to flip through the pages real quick before you go and write down the text features. So here's the cover. Here are the inside pages. Just got to see if you can see it all. Oops. And this is the back. So after flipping through those pages, answer the next question. What text features do you see in the article? Go. All right. What text features do you see in this article? Well, I definitely see a title. I see some photographs. I see some headings. I see bolded words. Let's see, on the back, I see some more bolded words and more photographs. So the text features that you should have written down on your paper are photographs, titles, headings, and bolded words. I don't see any captions in this article, and I don't see any labels. So we don't need to include those like we typically do. We just need to include the photographs, the titles and headings, and the bolded words. All right. Let's start reading from Grace's side again, because we just answered a couple questions and we might need a refresher. So country life, city life. As you read, think about how country life is different from city life. How is it alike? I'm Grace. I live in the countryside of Ireland. Let me tell you about it. In the country, houses are far apart. It can take a long time to drive to my friends' houses. One of my friends has a roof made of straw. There are so many sheep in the countryside. In fact, there are more sheep than people. Sometimes cars have to stop for them in the road. Out here, tall, rocky cliffs rise up from the ocean. I love to look at the cliffs. I search for puffins. They lay their eggs right in the cliff wall. So we've learned about country life in Ireland. Let's learn a little bit about city life in Ireland. I'm Ryan. I live in a city in Ireland. Let me tell you all about it. In the city, buildings are close together. My friend's apartment is only a short walk away. Many families can live in one apartment building. There are so many cars in the city. It's hard to park on the busy streets, so a lot of people take buses. My favorites are the double-decker buses. So this is interesting. This is one of the double-decker buses. I know a lot of us have taken the city buses in Boston before, and that's just one level. But think about that bus, and then on top of that bus, there's a whole other floor where people can sit. That's a double-decker bus. Everyone likes to relax at the city parks. I sit in the park and watch the crowds go by. I always try to get a seat by the pond. That way I can watch the swans swim by with their fuzzy babies. Oh. The swan and then their fuzzy babies. All right, now we can answer the next couple of questions. So the first question you're going to answer is, what birds can Ryan see at the park? Take about 30 seconds now. Go. All right, so what birds can Ryan see at the park? So I know that the side that I'm going to look on for that answer is this side, because this side is all about Grace and her life in the countryside. I want to find my answer about Ryan on his side, where he's teaching us about the city. So let's see. Now, these photographs can also help us, because I know that there are birds in that photograph. So I know that our answer is probably going to be in here if we don't know the names of those birds just off the top of our heads. So let's read this last paragraph. Everyone likes to relax at the city parks. I sit in the park and watch the crowds go by. I always try to get a seat by the pond. That way I can watch the swans swim by with their fuzzy babies. So I know that that bird is called a swan. So what birds can Ryan see in the park? Ryan can see swans in the park. Ryan can see swans in the park. All right, let's move on to the next question. Oh, this is one of those true or false questions. Is this sentence true or false? How do you know? There are more sheep than people in the country. So is that sentence true or false? Take about a minute to say whether it's true or false and how you know. Go. So there are two keywords in that question that are going to tell me where I should be looking for that answer. So the two words are sheep and country, because I know that on this side of the article it's talking all about the country life in Ireland, and then the only picture of sheep, well, except for the front page, is right here, and this is telling us about the country. So I'm going to read the paragraph that is next to this photograph to see if we can get our answer. There are so many sheep in the countryside. In fact, there are more sheep than people. Sometimes cars have to stop for them in the road. So I'm going to pay attention to that second sentence right there. In fact, there are more sheep than people. So I know that this is talking about the country because Grace lives in the country. So the sentence that we're trying to figure out whether it's true or false, it says there are more sheep than people in the country. There are more sheep than people. And then this is talking about the country. So the answer is true. So there are more sheep than people in the country. That sentence is true, and you know that because it says it right here. Grace tells you that there are more sheep, that there are more sheep than people in the country, so that's how you know. Let's turn to the back. So on the back, there are a bunch of riddles. We're not going to do all of them together, but you can feel free to do all of them on your own if you're looking for some extra work to do. And I'll definitely include some shout-outs tomorrow for people who complete all of the riddles, because I know that they want to grow their brains. So at the top, it says, the country is also known as a rural community. The city is also known as an urban community. So the country is, another word for country is rural, and another word for city is urban. So the riddle that we're going to focus on is this one. So we have to determine whether the person who is saying this riddle lives in a rural or urban community. So rural, remember, means country, and urban means city. So we have to say whether they live in the country or the city, or rural community or urban community. So let's see. It takes a while to drive to my friend's house. On the drive we see many sheep. We see a castle too. What kind of community do I live in? So do I live in a rural or urban community according to this riddle? Take about a minute to answer that question, and make sure you include how you know. Go. So we can use the photograph to help us as well as the riddle. So in the photograph, I see a lot of green and a lot of sheep and a castle. So I know, so I'm probably going to look at the countryside half of the article because those pictures look similar to the pictures in this half of the article. I know that the riddle also says that it takes a while to drive to my friend's house. Grace also says that it can take a long time to drive to her friends' houses. So that also makes me think that this person lives in a rural community. On the drive, we see many sheep. There's definitely sheep right here. They see many sheep. And then it says that sometimes they see a castle too. Now, I don't see any castles on this half of the page, but a castle definitely wouldn't be in the city because, look, is there any room for a castle in the city? I don't see any. But I could definitely picture a castle being somewhere around here. So, given all of those clues, I know that the answer to the riddle is that the person lives in a rural community. Because remember, rural means country. So they live in a rural community. And I know that because in a rural community, it takes a long time to drive to a friend's house, and they might see lots of sheep. So they live in a rural community. All right, friends, we can move right into our exit ticket now. Remember, at the beginning, when we first started reading, we needed to think about how country life is different from city life and how it is alike. So for your exit ticket today, you are going to write about 3 ways country life is different from city life. So, you're going to use these 2 pages because these 2 pages tell you about country life and city life. Now, I would, because there are 3 paragraphs here where for country life, I would pick a reason from each of those paragraphs and say how country life is different than city life. For example, the first sentence here says, in the country, houses are far apart. But on this side, for the city, it says, in the city, buildings are close together. So I know that that's one way that the city life and country life are different. In the country, houses are far apart, and in the city, houses are close together. So that's one example. Now, your job is to think of the others. So, remember, you need to have 3 ways country life is different from city life. You need to use evidence from the text, and you need to write in complete sentences. Remember to send a picture of you doing your work or your work to your teacher to make sure that you're doing your very best work, and you may even earn a shout out. All right, friends, see you tomorrow.